Hey, what's up guys? I'm Hop, TFB TV's token Taurus apologist. I'm out at the Santiam Pistol Clinic to shoot the Canik TP9SFL. This is basically a license-built Walther PPQ long slide copy for a lot less money. While I'm at it, we're also going to talk about the Canik 1 series of value-priced TP9 variants. Should be fun. Stick around. Our story begins with the original Canik TP9, which hit the scene less than 10 years ago and became very popular very fast. The first version of the TP9 was a straight-up Walther P99 clone, and to be honest, you could pick worse guns to clone. Those fearing another Sigma lawsuit situation, don't worry. The TP9 is a licensed Walther copy, so it's all above board. Like its parent P99, the original Canik TP9 was a double-action, single-action with a decocker button. This is an exceedingly rare configuration for a striker-fired gun, but one I really like. I have a Magnum Research MR9, which was one of two German-American joint production licensed P99 clones, the other being the Smith & Wesson SW99. These guns have frames made in Germany by Walther and uppers built in the United States. The P99 and its clones have phenomenal triggers, a perfectly serviceable double-action pull followed by light, crisp single-action with a short tactile reset. These things shoot great, and being able to decock it for carry is a nice feature if you're into it. Well, Walther got tired of making literally the best striker trigger in existence, so they redesigned the later P99 models to have a Glock-style single-action trigger. This was called the quick-action trigger and for a while was offered side-by-side with the original trigger style called anti-stress. When Walther introduced the PPQ, it was offered with the quick-action trigger exclusively, so subsequent Canik TP9s switched to that style as well. The first of these was the cosmic accident called the TP9SA, which had the single-action only trigger but retained the decocker button on top of the slide, so you could render your gun useless if you felt the sudden urge to lose a gunfight. Luckily, Canik wised up and introduced the current TP9SF, which dropped the useless decocker button and just functions like a normal pistol. You can still get a current production Canik with an anti-stress trigger called the TP9DA. I don't think Canik ever did the anti-stress trigger as well as Walther did, but it's an option. The gun I have for review is a TP9SFL, which is the competition long slide version of the TP9. Unlike the even more riced out TP9SFX, it isn't optics ready and only uses the standard 18-round magazines. The magazines for these guns are made for Canik by Mechgar, which means they're super high quality. Before we shoot, I'd like to say thanks to Ventura Munitions for sponsoring TFB TV and for providing the ammunition for this review. They provided their in-house 115 grain ball and 124 grain hollow point loads for this video, as well as some Winchester NATO spec and even some steel case. Check them out, there's a link in the video description. Alright, let's do it. Oh yeah, sights, excellent, trigger, excellent, shoots really well. The 18-round standard magazine capacity sounds impressive, but really it just means the grip of these guns is long. With a full firing grip, I still have a bit of gun left over to work with at the bottom, a lot like a Springfield XD. Ergonomically speaking, the gun is very comfortable in the hand and sits low, unlike a Springfield XD. The grip has nice traction, and there are little pads of traction on the sides of the frame to index your trigger finger and support hand thumb on. It's not going to put Taurus memory pads out of business anytime soon, but it's nice. The magazine release is well positioned, sized, and textured. The slide release is low profile, but still easy to hit. The additional length versus a Glock slide release throws me off, and I end up riding it if I'm not careful with my grip. If you don't shoot a different gun every day like I do, you'll probably get used to it and not have a problem. The controls are not ambidextrous, but the magazine release is reversible for those dirty offhanders, those nasty netties, those leftorium shoppers. How I loathe them. The trigger on the TP9SFL is perilously close to being great. It has a short run of take-up, a bit of creep, then a light, crisp break. The reset is loud, tactile, and very short, and leaves you ready to go just before the break. This is as good a striker-fired trigger as I have ever shot, but remember my purview is mainly Sigmas, Taurus, and Rugers. The SFL trigger is supposedly improved over that of the other TP9 guns. I haven't shot a normal TP9 in a while, but as I recall, it also had a great trigger. Unfortunately, the design of the trigger safety blade is dangerously flawed. Conceptually, it works just like a Glock. However, on the TP9 series guns, it is possible to pull the trigger too high up on the trigger shoe, which doesn't allow the blade to move far enough, and the trigger binds up. I've never been able to get this to happen with a Glock trigger, but it happens to me periodically on the Canik.
I got, yeah, that weird trigger blade thing.
Yeah, the trigger thing. Sometimes it just binds for a split second before continuing, sometimes it binds fully. Bad news. This can also happen if the trigger falls into the joint of your finger instead of right under the pad. Years ago, I shot a Canik TP9SA, which also exhibited the same trigger binding issue, and a bit of Googling suggests this is still a pretty common problem. I'm sure you could minimize or eliminate the issue by removing some material from either the blade or the back of the trigger guard area. Generally, it's probably not a good idea to modify safety mechanisms on your firearms. In ideal conditions, you will always pull the trigger properly, with the pad of your finger centered on the trigger shoe. Well, this isn't an ideal world, and you are not an ideal shooter. Oops. So the Canik is disqualified from defensive use. Obviously it's a free country and you can do whatever you want because you're a sovereign citizen and all that, but I'm not going to carry one of these. That's the only really negative thing I can say about the TP9, but it's a doozy. Let's get back to the bread on the other side of this shit sandwich. My favorite feature of the TP9SFL is probably the War and Tactical sights. They have a black U-notch rear with white dot front post. Long slide means long sight radius, but there's still a lot of air in the sights, so I don't find them to be that precise. They are, however, very fast to acquire and to reacquire after shooting. I like them so much I think I'll get a set for one of my Glocks. I shot groups and a few pistol drills with the TP9SFL. I got some excellent 7-yard groups with multiple types of ammo, disregarding the flyers caused by my out-of-control Mountain Dew habit. The TP9SFL doesn't seem to be that picky. All of the ammo I had on hand was reliable and accurate out of the gun. Okay, just right out with some hollow points. No problem. Back to Full Metal Jacket. I didn't set any records with the pistol drills, but I was impressed with how well the TP9SFL handled. We're going to go ahead and shoot the test, which is 10 rounds in 10 seconds at 10 yards on a B8 sized target from the low ready position on a timer. So, shooting Ventura Munitions 115 grain. Hopefully I got all my cameras and stuff set up so we can actually see what's going on. Let's hit it. According to this, 7.92, shot count 10, probably picked it up pretty well. Let's go take a look at that score. Canik guns are like the Springfield XD in that they come packed with accessories. The TP9SFL came with 2 magazines, a freebie holster, spare backstrap, and cleaning rod and brush. It's nice getting some free shit with your gun, but the only thing I want is that spare magazine. Let's throw it to Hop at the Range for more details, as well as an uncomfortable close-up of my waistline. Sorry in advance. So here's this weird free holster you get with your Canik TP9 series pistols, although not the newer Canik 1 series pistols. This is it's a paddle holster, and it has a strap of retention, and then it has a plastic mechanism that provides a little bit of retention in there, but really not much at all. I don't dislike paddle holsters. A lot of people will crap all over Phobos and other holsters like that. Really, the issue with Phobos isn't that it's a paddle holster, it's that the retention of the holster is way too strong out of the box, so you're more likely to draw the whole holster than you are to draw the whole gun. So this is not bad. I mean, there's not really a risk that, oops, oh shit, 2 guns, sorry. There's not really a risk that you'll draw the holster out instead of just the gun. I just don't really see the utility in this. Like, if you're gonna use this gun to compete, which seems like that's what it's really for, you're not gonna want to compete with this hokey holster. If you're gonna carry it, it's not a low profile holster, and this is not a low profile gun. You basically have to knock this this little strap out of the way and then just sort of draw past it. Maybe even readjust your grip slightly because you're basically pulling through this strap. Or you treat it like one of those old World War I, World War II style holsters where you have to unbuckle the flap with one hand draw with the other. Either way, I don't think that's a good idea. Alright, so before we laugh at my pitiful attempts to shoot drills, let's remember that this holster is a hoke-tastic piece of garbage, and I've only shot the TP9SFL on 2 occasions. I'm going to try shooting a couple drills here. First one's going to be the Bayer Solutions Standard, which is 10 rounds, reload 3 rounds. First 5 are on the big square on the left, second 5 on the big square on the right. Slide lock reload, 3 rounds to the small circle in the center. I'm going to be using this funky free holster, so we'll see how that works. Canik just recently released the One series of pistols, the TP9SF1 and the TP9 Elite 1. These pistols take a page from Ruger and give you basically the exact same guns for a lower price. The way they accomplish that is by simplifying aesthetic touches like ornamental slide milling or finish options, as well as by not including extras in the box like a spare mag. The new 1 series pistols have only 1 magazine, no freebie holster, and a nitrided slide finish instead of the Cerakote over phosphate used on the original TP9 series. They are also very cheap, coming in right around Ruger Security 9 or Taurus TH9 money. Should you go with the 1 series over an original Canik? I'm going to say yes. The free holsters the guns come with are nothing special, and if you plan to carry the gun, you'll need to get a real holster for it anyway, so that doesn't add much value. I can't speak to the difference in longevity of slide finish between the guns. I don't have the chemistry background to speak with authority, but I generally prefer nitride to phosphate coating since I've always understood them to have superior corrosion resistance. If I'm wrong, please write me angry comments below so that I know better than to spout off about this shit in the future. The only thing of value you're losing with the 1 series then is a spare magazine. Getting an extra mag in the box is certainly convenient, but a single extra magazine isn't worth the $100+ price difference between these guns. So if you're going to pick one of these up, might as well make it the 1 series and then use the savings to get spare mags and a holster that's worth a damn. Okay, last one. Managed to get 1 single hit on the number 10 circle. That is not so good. So I will say the holster is not doing me any favors with this. Otherwise, the gun is essentially faultless. Trigger's great, sights are great, and recoil control is really excellent. So any issues that I'm having in this drill are either my fault or the holster's fault, which is also my fault for using the holster to begin with. Let's keep going. What's the takeaway? I'm going to say hard pass on the TP9SA and TP9SF, and don't make the TP9 series your first choice. I don't think even the 1 series pistols are the best in their price range, to say nothing of the full-featured TP9s. If you're looking at a Canik TP9SF, I'd go with a Taurus TH9 instead. And if you're looking at a Canik TP9 Elite for possible concealed carry, I'd probably go with a Ruger Security 9 instead. But if you're looking to get into competition shooting and you can't drop 2 racks on a pistol in a competition rig, the TP9SFL or TP9SFX would make great entry-level alternatives. So if the TP9SFL can make competition shooting accessible to more people, that's great. That's why I like cheap guns in the first place, reducing the financial barrier to entry. That's freedom right there. The TP9SFL is basically a Walther Q5 match for less money. Should you trust Canik as much as Walther? Well, Turkey has an extensive history of arms manufacturing, and Walther is owned by a toy company. Your call. Alright, try not to take that too seriously. These guns shoot great. They are fast, controllable, comfortable, and accurate. If I wanted to dabble in competition shooting but I didn't want to shell out too much money, I would definitely get one of these. For use in a controlled range environment, the trigger blade safety issue wouldn't be a deal breaker. You'll definitely have enough rounds through the gun to get used to placing your finger properly. And if the trigger locks up on you, it'll only cost you some points. That's all for today, guys. If you'd like to support TFB TV, you can do so by joining our Patreon. There's a link in the video description. James does all sorts of cool giveaways for TFB TV patrons, and it really helps us out. If you're an epic gamer, you can consider joining the TFB Discord. There's a link for that below as well. There's all sorts of cool people on there to talk to, but if you're a weeb or a furry, you might consider joining the Forgotten Weapons Discord instead. We're kind of full up on those. Thanks for watching. See you next time.